blood flood. The devil and his forces are called a flood in the prophecy in the end times, and this will be revealed through this. First, looking to the sacking of Jerusalem and the beast and his armed forces in Daniel. Daniel chapter 9 verse 26 says, "And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself, and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined." So let's note here that the scriptures and about the sacking denotes of the account of the city being destroyed by a flood, which is armies, and a war. And floods are known to wipe out cities in times past, just like invading armies. A flood would come in and wipe out a city. And that's what the likeness of the armies coming in do. They come in and destroy the city. They wipe it out. And this is why they're called a flood. Daniel chapter 11 verse 22 talks about the armies. Now watch this, what it says. "And with arms of a flood shall they be overthrown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant." So we see armed forces coming in another portion of a prophecy, talk about the armies being a flood. And we see when anytime it says arms, it's talking about forces and armies. And in Daniel chapter 11 verse 31 it says, "And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate." And we know that the beast and his armies are who comes into Jerusalem and sacks Jerusalem and takes over Jerusalem with the 10 kings' approval. And the beast and his armies will set up an image. The false prophet specifically will call for the people to make an image to the beast in his honor. And the beast is said to honor prophetically the God of military forces. Daniel chapter 11 verse 38 says, "But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, a God whom his fathers knew not, shall he honor with gold and silver and precious stones and pleasant things." So we know that there's a likeness to the honoring of a God of military forces. And we see Jerusalem in Luke 21 verse 20 being surrounded by the armies. "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh." And Jerusalem will again be sacked and laid desolate, according to the prophecy for the end times. The people are to flee to the wilderness as prepared of God. And the armed forces coming into Jerusalem and armies who take Jerusalem for the beast are the same ones who actually will fight Christ on his return. Revelation chapter 17 verse 14 talks about those people who fight against Christ are the same ones who sack Jerusalem. It says, "These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful." And these are the same armies that sack Jerusalem, the ones who fight Christ on his return. As mentioned in verse 14, if you look further, it continues on and it talks about what they do. They actually sack Jerusalem. Revelation chapter 17 verse 16 says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." And these are the same armies who fight against Christ on his return, as mentioned in verse 14. That they will make war with the Lamb. And that is seen later on Christ's return. In Revelation chapter 19 verse 19 it says, "And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army." They turn and fight Christ, thinking that they will overcome Christ. At the end of the 1260 days, they will kill 2 prophets, thinking that they are on the right side of history and that God is with them. Then they will turn to try to fight Christ. Revelation chapter 13 verse 7 says, "And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations." And this is what occurs when we see at the end of this 1260 days at Revelation chapter 11 verse 7. "And when they have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them, and kill them." Before this, though, the beast sacks Jerusalem and is successful in his campaign to take Jerusalem, and the Lord permits it, for it is God's will that they sack Jerusalem. It is going to be God's will that they sack Jerusalem as a punishment. And they're handed over to the beast. And that is until the words of God shall be fulfilled, in which he's spoken that from the beginning, to warn about this day, of the great day of the battle of God Almighty. Revelation chapter 13 verse 4 says, "And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" After they've sacked Jerusalem, and the army declaring, "Who can make war with him?" and people are boasting about his mighty prowess, that he has defeated the God's army of the Zionists. The Zionists declare that God's with them and nobody can defeat God's army, that God's apple of his eye, that nobody's going to defeat Israel and they're going to be in the land forever. And well, then the beast defeats them. They're going to boast and say, "Who can make war with him? If God's army can't defend Israel and the beast can take Jerusalem, then the beast's army is stronger than God's army." This is how they go with this. They boast, "Who is able to make war with him if God can't even stop him?" And the beast in his arrogance, angry that the people flee and escape his wrath. Revelation chapter 12 verse 14 talks about the people going on the exodus before his invasion. "And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. And those who flee to the safe place are protected from the flood." Now watch this. Revelation chapter 12 verse 15 says, "And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood." The serpent's lies, sending the beast's armies after the woman to kill the woman. But the woman is protected by God in the wilderness. Revelation chapter 12 verse 16 and 17. "And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ." So we see the devil continues to make war in the likeness of spewing out water, floods out of his mouth, which are armies. The flood of armies from the beast and the devil's deception, leading them to try to go to war. This occurred with the same thing with Pharaoh trying to send his armies after the people when they exodus. He sent a flood of people as well, and the earth opened up its mouth. Exodus chapter 15, "Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the sea. His chosen captains are also drowned in the sea." So the Lord swallowed up Pharaoh's armies with the earth. The sea swallowed them. Revelation chapter 12 verse 16. "And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth." And we see that occurred before in the wilderness, in the book of Numbers chapter 16 verse 30 through 33, where the Lord does a mighty work to destroy those who resist him. "But if the Lord make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth and swallow them up, with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then ye shall understand that these men have provoked the Lord. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertain unto Korah, and all their goods. They and all that appertained to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation." So we also see in latter chapters the earth opened up and swallowed those who strove against the 2 prophets, Moses and Aaron. Numbers chapter 26 verse 9 through 10. "And the sons of Eliab, and Nemuel, and Dathan, and Abiram. This is that Dathan and Abiram which were famous in the congregation, who strove against Moses and against Aaron in the company of Korah, when they strove against the Lord. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up together with Korah, when that company died, what time the fire devoured 250 men, and they became a sign." These accounts are likened together with Pharaoh's armies and disobedient people who were in the earth, who were swallowed up. And what we see is that the times of past are prophetic foreshadows of what will occur in the end, in the same likeness of Pharaoh and those in the Korah and the wilderness, and the beast armies being swallowed up, who try to come against the camp. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 3 and 4 talks about the miraculous acts of the Lord. It says, "And his miracles and his acts, which he did in the midst of Egypt unto Pharaoh the king of Egypt, and unto all his land, and what he did unto the army of Egypt, unto their horses and their chariots, how he made the water of the Red Sea to overflow them as they pursued after you, and how the Lord hath destroyed them unto this day. And what he did unto you in the wilderness until ye came into this place. And what he did unto Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, how the earth opened up her mouth and swallowed them up, and their households and their tents, and all the substance that was in their possession in the midst of all of Israel. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of the Lord which he did." So they give an account of a testimony in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 11 of both those accounts, that not only did the ground swallow up Pharaoh and his armies, but also those disobedient people at Korah, and the ground opening up and swallowing them. So he's giving two accounts in this, which is prophetic foreshadow of what will occur during the time of Revelation chapter 12, of the 1260 days where the woman goes out into the wilderness, where the beast, likened unto the armies of Pharaoh, go after the camp out in the wilderness, and the ground opens up and swallows them. This is all a prophetic foreshadow of the devil's flood that he sends out of his mouth being swallowed up in the ground. Revelation chapter 12, verse 16. "And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth." The flood being swallowed up is the armies of the beast who try to overcome the camp. Their blood will cry out of the ground that swallows them up. Just like in Genesis, where the blood of Abel cried out of the ground. Genesis chapter 4, verse 10 and 11. "And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now thou art cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand." Those armies who try to attempt to stop what we are doing, they will be destroyed. The ground will open up and swallow the beast's armies who try to come after the camp, who exited safely into the wilderness. It is written. And the plagues will come upon these people for trying to defy the Lord. Make sure of that. Just like the Janus and Jambres saw with Moses and Aaron. It will occur in the end. Revelation chapter 12, verse 15 says, "And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood." The flood coming out of the devil's mouth, the beast armies. First you see the flood coming out of the devil's mouth, leading the beast's armies after the woman, and they get swallowed up. And then what occurs? After the 1260 days, they overcome the prophets, thinking that they've got power to have victory, and they turn to fight Christ, and they get turned into a river of blood. Revelation chapter 19, verse 19, "And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And these armies, the ground will swallow up their blood as well. The ground will cry out with their blood, just like the days of Abel and Cain. They will be turned into a blood river. A flood of blood is what they will become, because they've defied the command of the prophets to repent and the warnings of the Lord. They continue to fight and strive against the Lord, even after the ground has swallowed up their armies prior. The devil spewing that flood after the woman then tries to spew the flood after the husband. And therefore they're turned into a flood of blood. Revelation chapter 14, verse 19 and 20. "And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs." The flood of the blood is the army of the flood of the beast that comes after Christ in the end. And their blood will cry out from the ground and testify that they are a river of blood. And this is the prophecy of the blood flood.